I want to tell you about a patient I saw not long ago. 72 years old, retired electrician. Careful man. He took his medications every single morning without fail. He watched his salt intake. He walked 3 times a week. By every measure, he was doing everything right. And yet his blood pressure was still dangerously high. His doctor had added a 3rd medication, then a 4th. When he sat down in my office, he looked at me and said, "Dr. Bates, what am I doing wrong?" And I told him something that stopped him cold. It's not what you're doing wrong. It's what's sitting in your kitchen right now, that everyone told you was healthy. The foods causing the most damage to blood pressure after 60 are not the ones you'd expect. They're not the obvious ones. They're the ones with "heart healthy" printed on the label. The ones your doctor never mentioned. The ones you've been eating for years, completely trusting them. Stay with me, because what I'm going to show you today might be the most useful thing you've heard in a long time. Most people believe high blood pressure after 60 comes down to 2 things: too much salt and too much stress. So they cut the salt shaker. They try to relax more. And they wonder why the numbers barely budge. I've seen this frustration hundreds of times in my practice. Here's what nobody explains clearly enough. After 60, something changes inside your arteries that goes far beyond salt. Picture a garden hose that's been left in the sun for 20 years. What happens to it? It stiffens, it cracks, it loses the flexibility it once had. Your blood vessels do the same thing. And when they stiffen, even normal blood pressure starts to feel like too much pressure for them to handle. What's driving that stiffening? Chronic inflammation, silent, invisible, painless. It burns slowly inside the walls of your blood vessels, year after year. And you feel absolutely nothing until something serious happens. And here's the part that concerns me most about the people watching this right now. The foods feeding that inflammation are sitting in kitchens across America, being eaten every single day by people who genuinely believe they're making healthy choices. That's what I want to change today. My name is Dr. Ben Bates. I've spent over 20 years in preventive medicine, working specifically with adults over 60. I've reviewed thousands of patient histories. I've sat with people who were doing everything by the book and still ending up in the wrong place. And over again, when I traced the damage back to its source, I kept finding the same foods nobody warned them about. Today I'm warning you. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with the one that surprises people most. The one that has been marketed so aggressively as a healthy choice that most people genuinely can't believe what I'm about to say. Vegetable oils, canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, corn oil. If you open your kitchen cupboard right now, I'd be willing to bet at least one of those is in there. Most people reach for them automatically. They were told these oils were better than butter, better for the heart, lighter, cleaner, healthier. That message was everywhere for 30 years, and it was wrong. Here's what those oils actually do inside your body. Every one of them is extraordinarily high in something called omega-6 fatty acids. Now, your body needs some omega-6. That's not the problem. The problem is the ratio. For most of human history, people consumed roughly equal amounts of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Today, because of these refined vegetable oils, the average American over 60 consumes 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3, 15 to 20 times more. And that extreme imbalance is one of the primary drivers of the chronic arterial inflammation I just described. Every time you cook with canola oil, every time you use soybean oil to saute your vegetables, you are adding fuel to a fire burning inside your blood vessel walls. But here's the part that made me change my own kitchen habits. These oils are chemically unstable at high heat. When you heat them to cooking temperature, they break down into toxic compounds that damage the inner lining of your arteries directly. You can't see it happening. Your food doesn't taste any different, but your blood vessels feel every single meal. Now, what should you actually use instead? 2 things. Simple. Extra virgin olive oil for everything that doesn't require high heat. Dressings, light sautéing, drizzling over food. Olive oil is rich in natural anti-inflammatory compounds and has decades of research behind it. Real butter, not margarine, for higher heat cooking. I know that goes against what many of you were told 20 or 30 years ago, but margarine is made from the same problematic vegetable oils we're trying to eliminate. Real butter from grass-fed cows, used in reasonable amounts, is a far better choice for your arteries. The science has moved on from the old butter is bad message, and I've seen enough damaged arteries to know which direction it points. Check your cupboard tonight. When your current oil runs out, don't replace it. That one change, consistently over 3 to 6 months, can make a measurable difference in your inflammatory markers and your blood pressure readings. Now, before I get to the next food, I want you to think about something. When was the last time you felt genuinely energized after a meal? Not stuffed, not tired, actually energized. If that feeling is rare for you, what I'm about to explain may tell you exactly why. The second food I want you to look at is one that almost nobody suspects. Bread. Not just white bread, whole wheat bread, multigrain bread. The bread with the fiber content on the label. The bread your doctor may have even recommended. Here's what I need you to understand about how bread affects blood pressure. When you eat bread, any bread, your body breaks it down into sugar very quickly. Within 30 to 45 minutes, your blood sugar rises sharply. Your body responds by releasing a surge of insulin. And here's the connection most people never make. That insulin surge causes your blood vessels to constrict, to tighten. Right there at your kitchen table, within an hour of eating your healthy whole wheat toast, your blood pressure is going up. And for someone whose arteries are already stiff, that repeated tightening 3 times a day, every day, is doing real damage over time. There's something called the glycemic response, how fast a food raises your blood sugar. And here's what shocks most of my patients when I show them the numbers. 2 slices of whole wheat bread raise blood sugar faster than 2 tablespoons of table sugar, faster than sugar. Yet millions of people over 60 are eating bread at every meal and wondering why their blood pressure is so hard to control. I'm not telling you to never eat bread again. I'm telling you to reduce it significantly and to change the order in which you eat your meals. When you eat vegetables and protein first, before any bread or starchy food, the fiber creates a physical barrier in your stomach that dramatically slows how fast the sugar from bread enters your bloodstream. Less of a spike, less insulin, less constriction, lower pressure. Same food, different order, different result. I have patients who made this single change and saw their post-meal blood pressure readings drop within 2 weeks. Not from medication, from meal order. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Carol, 68 years old. Former nurse, sharp, practical woman. She came to me frustrated. She'd been eating what she described as a clean diet for years. Oatmeal for breakfast, a sandwich on whole grain bread for lunch, brown rice with dinner. Her blood pressure was on 2 medications and still running high in the evenings. When I walked through her daily meals, she looked at me like I had 3 heads when I suggested the oatmeal and the bread might be part of the problem. But those are healthy foods, she said. And I told her what I'm telling you now. Healthy and blood pressure friendly are not always the same thing after 60. Carol swapped her morning oatmeal for 2 eggs and half an avocado. She replaced the sandwich bread with lettuce wraps. She kept the brown rice, but ate her vegetables and protein first. 3 weeks later, she came back. Her evening readings had dropped by 11 points on average. Her doctor reduced 1 medication within 2 months. She told me, "I feel like someone finally gave me the right information." That's all I want to do for you today. Now I want to talk about something that people consume every single day without ever thinking of it as food. Packaged snacks, crackers, pretzels, rice cakes, granola bars. The things you reach for between meals, the things that feel like a small, harmless choice. Here's what I want you to look at the next time you pick up a package. Turn it over. Look at the sodium content. 1 serving of a standard cracker, a serving that most people eat in under 3 minutes, can contain 300 to 400 milligrams of sodium. Eat 2 or 3 servings throughout the day, which is completely easy to do without noticing, and you've added over 1,000 milligrams of sodium before you've even sat down for dinner. But the sodium isn't even the biggest problem. Look at the ingredient list. Specifically, look for what oil they're made with. Soybean oil, canola oil, sunflower oil. There they are again. You replaced the cooking oil in your kitchen, and then ate 3 servings of crackers that were made with the exact same oils. This is why I tell patients, it's not just what you cook with, it's what you buy already cooked. The inflammation you're trying to reduce is walking back in through the pantry door in a bag with a baked, not fried label on it. The fix is straightforward. When you feel like snacking, reach for a small handful of walnuts instead. And here's why walnuts matter beyond just replacing a bad snack. About 14 walnut halves, eaten about 30 minutes before bed, contain plant-based omega-3s, a compound called L-arginine, and natural melatonin. Together, these signal your blood vessels to relax, reduce overnight arterial inflammation, and support the natural nighttime drop in blood pressure your body is supposed to make. I recommend this to almost every patient over 60 I see with blood pressure issues. It's one of the simplest things I know, and one of the most consistently effective. Now I want to get to the one that is hiding in plain sight in almost every kitchen. And this is the one that genuinely made me pause when I started researching it seriously. Fruit juice, orange juice, apple juice, cranberry juice. The juices that have been a staple of American breakfast tables for decades. Most people think of juice as fruit, as something natural, light, healthy. And here's the reality. A standard 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains roughly 21 grams of sugar, with almost none of the fiber that would slow it down in your bloodstream. When you eat an orange, the fiber in the pulp slows the sugar absorption significantly. When you drink orange juice, that sugar hits your bloodstream almost as fast as if you'd poured it directly in. Your insulin surges, your blood vessels constrict, your blood pressure climbs. And most people over 60 are drinking a glass of juice every morning thinking they're starting the day with something healthy. What they're starting the day with is a blood pressure spike before 8 a.m. I'm not asking you to give up flavor. I'm asking you to make a swap. Replace juice with water infused with lemon or a cup of hibiscus tea. 3 cups of hibiscus tea daily, a deep red tart tea made from hibiscus flowers, has been shown in published research to reduce systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points in adults with elevated pressure. 7 points. That is clinically meaningful. That is the kind of number that gets a doctor's attention. Hibiscus works through a mechanism similar to a class of blood pressure medications, but naturally, without the side effects, hot or cold, minimal sugar, a small amount of honey if you need it. 1 cup in the morning instead of juice, 1 in the afternoon, 1 in the evening. Your arteries will notice the difference. And now the 5th food. This one is the hardest for people to hear, because it's been sold as health food for 40 years. Low-fat and fat-free products, low-fat yogurt, fat-free salad dressing, reduced-fat peanut butter. Here's the food industry secret that never made it to the grocery store label. When manufacturers remove fat from a product, the food tastes flat, bland, unappealing. So they replace the fat with something else. Sugar, modified cornstarch, artificial flavors and thickeners. That cup of low-fat flavored yogurt in your refrigerator? It often contains more sugar than a candy bar. And remember what sugar does. Even when it comes wrapped in a healthy label, it spikes your blood sugar, your insulin surges, your blood vessels constrict. The fat that was removed actually would have slowed the sugar absorption, made you feel full longer, had less impact on your blood pressure. But it was replaced with the exact ingredient that does the most damage. The fix: choose full-fat, unsweetened versions. Full-fat plain Greek yogurt, natural peanut butter with 1 ingredient, peanuts, olive oil-based salad dressing you make at home. Read labels. Look at the sugar content first, not the fat content. If a product says low-fat or fat-free, turn it over immediately and check the sugar. What you find will surprise you. Let me tell you what happened to that 72-year-old patient I mentioned at the beginning. After our conversation, he went home and cleaned out his kitchen. He replaced the canola oil with extra virgin olive oil. He dropped the fruit juice and started drinking hibiscus tea in the mornings. He swapped his whole wheat crackers for a small handful of walnuts. He started eating his vegetables first at every meal. He switched to full-fat plain yogurt. He didn't start a new medication. He didn't change his exercise routine. He just changed what was in his kitchen. At his follow-up 6 weeks later, his blood pressure had dropped enough that his doctor reduced one of his medications. He called me that evening. "Dr. Bates," he said, "I feel like I finally understand what's been going wrong. That's the only thing I want from this video for you. Understanding. Because understanding leads to action, and action leads to results. Let me bring it all together. 5 foods that are quietly raising your blood pressure, and what to replace them with." 1. Vegetable oils. Canola, soybean, sunflower, corn oil. Replace them with extra virgin olive oil and real butter. 2. Bread and starchy foods eaten first. Any bread, even whole wheat, spikes blood sugar and raises blood pressure. Eat vegetables and protein first, always. 3. Packaged snacks, crackers, pretzels, granola bars loaded with sodium and vegetable oils. Replace them with a small handful of walnuts, especially before bed. 4. Fruit juice. Concentrated sugar hitting your bloodstream with no fiber to slow it down. Replace it with water, lemon water, or 3 cups of hibiscus tea daily. 5. Low-fat and fat-free products, full of added sugar that was used to replace the fat. Choose full-fat, unsweetened versions and read the sugar content first. Now here's what I want you to do right now. Don't try to change all 5 at once. Pick one. Just one that you recognize today. One food that's been in your kitchen for years. One you now understand differently. Start there. Repeat it consistently for 2 weeks. Then add the next one. Sustainable change doesn't come from a dramatic overhaul. It comes from one small, clear decision, made consistently until it becomes invisible, until it's just the way you live. I want you to know something. Your blood vessels are more responsive than you may have been told. They are not fixed. They are not beyond recovery. The inflammation I'm describing, the slow stiffening, the narrowing, it responds to what you feed it. It can go down. The research is clear on this. I have seen patients in their 70s reduce their blood pressure meaningfully, not by adding more medications, but by removing the foods that were quietly working against them. You can do the same. The information was always out there. It just wasn't always reaching the right people at the right time. Today, it reached you. Which of these 5 foods surprised you most? Tell me in the comments. I read everyone. And if someone you love is fighting blood pressure issues right now, share this video with them. One share today could start a conversation that genuinely changes what happens to someone's health. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Because every week I bring you honest, practical information that I wish every patient had access to long before things got serious. Take care of your heart. Take care of those arteries. They have been quietly working for you every single day. Give them better fuel, and they will work better for you. Starting tonight. Everything I've shared today is general medical information based on current research and clinical experience. It is not a substitute for your personal medical care. Please do not change or stop any medication without speaking to your doctor first. Bring these ideas to your next appointment. Your doctor is your partner. And this information works best alongside proper medical guidance.